transactions and art could change. And this crisis could knowledge. They have enabled millions of farmers across the country, across the globe, whether it is our concerns are regarding global warming, or whether it is about the liquidation of the small holdings, the disappearance of indigenous knowledge systems, of the native lore of traditional farming practices, the loss of rural livelihoods. Permaculture has answers, and I think the pandemic is a reminder, a catalyst for each of us to educate ourselves. And I'm so grateful that Narsana and Padmaka have at this time shared their knowledge from decades of work. Welcome, Narsana, welcome, Padmaka. And welcome each one of you.
Thank you, Tara, for introducing us. Good evening, everyone. I'm Padma Koppula.
Hi everyone, I am Narsana Koppula.
Both of us from Aranya Agriculture Alternatives NGO working with the farmers. Already Tara explained about NGO. Whatever the dry land agriculture, especially since last 25 years, whatever the in this region, dry land region, we are working, and also high rainfall areas and arid zones also we work with the farmers. That this time we feel that cropping pattern is very important. That's why I'd like to share how many people are asking about many questions about how within an acre how many crops we can grow, and all the questions are there. Instead of that, this is the forum we use to share our knowledge and how it can be implemented in our own lands and based on our requirements. So based on our practical experience with the farmers, we'd like to share some of these things. In Rayalaseema region there is a different pattern, and Adilabad region there is a different pattern, in Deccan region there is a different pattern. So all these different regions it may work. So today we are going to share some what are the practically what we did in the cropping pattern. We're going to share some of these things. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Narsana Koppula. I'm very happy to go through this list. I think the big list is I'm very overwhelmed by seeing the people, those inspired me and worked with me and interned and volunteered in Aranya, and a lot of attended PDC courses, and some of them are non-PDC students also, participants also there. I think this today is a little very important. At the same time, I want to interaction and more than talking from my side. I think today instead of 15 minutes or 20, I think better to 15-20 minutes in the question and answers, because that is the form the hybrid and what are the heights, what are the birds, a lot of things are there. So this knowledge has been transformed from ages, from our ancestors to our foreparents to till now. I think you observe the everything. I think every area, every region has their own cropping pattern. That pattern has a more, I think is a national heritage pattern, not just just whatever the number of varieties, diversity of crops we are growing. I planted 100 varieties in 1 acre. I think that there's a wrong. Number is not important. The adaptability of crop and the seed is important. So the diversity is, number is not important, but the diversity and at the same time adaptability, and it should look at your staple, and it is as long as the local available resources, how much you can make a systematic way of sowing and getting and harvesting and processing and using the seed again and again. That is the pattern we wanted. Not just getting something and you're planting and you're sowing and getting number of good production. I think that is not our aim, objective to today's discussion. So in this entire discussion, what we are looking at, I think the important aspect of this cropping pattern is, I think just you have to look at different aspects at the same time, the regions and what made you to go for that pattern. Is it just as a replication or just as a fashion, or really need? A family is needed for their consumption, for their survival. They need a kind of things to grow in that piece of land. So the piece of land could be any extent, but the what are the pattern you are adopting, for what, for whom, why? So not just for to demonstrate or show somebody this, and just I am growing this many varieties, and somebody I'm claiming and 1 acre I am planted 40 varieties, 50 varieties. I think not, number is not important. What for? For whom? Is it your staple food? For whom you are growing them? Or your soil is able to adopt that? Is it as resilience? What seed you are using? What kind of resources you have? Or is it your own seed? So these are all questions is a practically to look at, and then you have to consult the local farmers, or you have to try with few things. Maybe most of the indigenous and the local traditional seeds may not be working well because of a lot of changes have come, a lot of the part of your climate change and practice have gone, knowledge and information, a lot of things have totally disappeared. I think most of the things have vanished still, but we have a lot of chances to understand why we need this kind of, how does it benefit your land, your food security and security of your water security and your fertility security and your other life forms which are already existing there, how it is relationship, what is the relatively, how you can encourage, how you can more bring a lot of resilience into the system. For that you need a cropping pattern. It could be not, I am not talking about annual, but very important crop pattern in annuals, but I talk about the annual cropping pattern also. What kind of trees? Fruit trees needed, your supporting plants. That is the cropping pattern. So like your water, how much area, how much absorption, that relationship is important. I'm storing 10 TMs of water on my farm. That is not right. Does it your soil is absorption? What is the moisture levels? Is it getting absorption, or there is no organic matter? So there is no soil is holding capacity, that water will get evaporate. What is the relationship between the storage and water? There's absorption, retention. So that kind of pattern you have to understand what is happening in the nature. So you derive few of these principles and you apply in your cropping pattern as well. What crops you are going is a perennial, annual and vegetables. And these are the cropping pattern, how it is benefiting each other. That relationship we have to understand. Further, that is the reason we need to today understand the natural patterns, how you bring in those natural patterns into your cultivated ecology. The cultivated ecology, always you have to look at, understand, try to practice few of these things. I think definitely you will feel very comfortable, and you are more comfortable, and at the same time you will feel happy. You look for the optimum, not maximize your productivity, and your activity, not only the production is the grains, is not grain or not the your production, not the fruits, and the productivity of your water, productivity of your soil, and productivity of the grains. So just you optimize it, try to inculcate, try to introduce, try to put as many varieties as possible so that you have to meet your requirements. What you are eating every day, we are eating very basic, everybody needs. As for our Indian context, in our region, I think this is the 1 or 2, 3 is important, but very commonly you need cereals, pulses, oil seeds, and some fruits and some vegetables. The very basic, very fundamental requirement for every family, every person consumption. So how you design these, elements should go into your farming systems and your cropping pattern. That you have to look at, and you have to introduce slowly in a way where our guiding principle, the pattern is a guiding principle. The guiding principle should be a where you can meet your 90% of your requirement at the same time surplus. That is for marketing, that is always possible. But today we are looking only not for the varieties and entire cropping pattern. I think in cropping pattern should be your culture and the staple food, and it should be familiarity with the local people. That kind of cropping pattern is more your wisdom, the local wisdom with the local community, which they know. If you use that cropping pattern, that is for almost all you are looking for the transformation of this knowledge to the next generation. That's where the permaculture comes in. The permanent culture we are talking, agriculture comes later. The culture-based agriculture will sustain, and it is bring more resilience into your system. That is why we are more concerned, more keen to know about our cropping pattern. So in this context, there are some few things. So if is a very everybody might be very interested to know about cropping patterns, annuals. I think the perennials, many people are experts are there, they are doing, but is not much keep change. The diversity is not in much perennial. Because perennials, if you go hardly, if you go to the different high rainfall areas, they grow like pepper, creepers, and some areca nut, and your coconuts and mango, and your durian or your jack, and hardly number is less. But when you come to the annuals, I think every region, every state, every district, talukas has their own, even tribal areas, non-tribal, plain and forest area. Every place, every region has their own cropping patterns. I think there is number of patterns. If you look at, go and see and talk to them. So why it is important for them? So they are been doing since many number of decades and years and centuries, but they don't give any answer. Why you are growing them? It's a simple answer would be, yeah, this is I need, I'm growing. Why you are growing them? Not just for our, making a nice book on it, because there is a survival. They need pulses and oil seeds and some tubers, some bulbs, and some cereals for the dairy consumption. So that is to meet my requirement, I'm growing. There is a simple answer from any farmer you go across the country. So that is the issue we are looking at. I think that kind of patterns, that kind of cropping pattern is very important. You have to try to understand the local knowledge. You use those local knowledge and wisdom, and based on that, if you are very intelligent, as a permaculture, people are always more innovative and creativity use without disturbing these natural ecosystems and your local resources. You can introduce few things which is not disturb these natural ecosystems and natural patterns. Just you can introduce few, but there is already every area has their own cropping pattern. So you add to that, but don't try to. The seed is not available, doesn't, but it doesn't mean that you have to follow what they have been doing. It's not a replicable, not the following what they are doing. Just for that reason, we need not to follow that kind of cropping pattern. So cropping pattern is a function of meeting your requirement and your food and your hunger, and at the same time hunger of your soil, your life in the soil and the animals. So there is a lot of diversity. The diversity is your pattern, cropping pattern. Maybe number is not important, but that every flower, every part of the plant will interact with another element, which is bring more difference, more change, more transformation, more resilience to your system. So that is why, if you go into I will give an example in the local farmers where I have been working since last 35 years in different regions in forest and plain and high rainfall areas, semi-arid, arid, and even desert. So every region has their own pattern. But if you coming, most of my work happened in the drylands and semi-arids. I'm saying I know everything. No, I don't know anything. I know few things which I have been working on, that I am trying my little more research. I think why it is important to go for what they have been doing. Is there any logic? Why they have been left this kind of information with us to follow? I think there is a lot of knowledge, lot of the wisdom which they have been using. I think that is a lot of associated with a lot of cultural issues, and is easily manageable by themselves. Need not to depend on external forces, external inputs. I think totally in the institute or in the farm and with the family, and at the same time the individual or in the community, the resources, the seeds, the wisdom, the knowledge, the familiarity, the information they have. That kind of pattern we wanted today. That is the reason just I am trying to introduce few concepts. If you ready to go through the books in permaculture, and there is a lot of terminology being used, but cropping pattern is to understand the natural ecosystem and natural patterns, why they are happening, how they are expressing their relationship with other element. So that reason just we have to think of. In permaculture, I think there are a lot of systems are there. Mixed cropping they use, intercropping. Within the intercropping, there are a lot of systems are there. Mosaic pattern is there, strip cropping system is there, and your savanna is there, and a lot of random cropping pattern is there, and there are avenue is there. And these kind of patterns, what it does, informing, it is telling us, I think you have to, follow the natural patterns. Random pattern is one of the easy, that is where the farming, most of the farming people, dryland farmers, they used to have just broadcasting the random. The random is the gaining energy. When you throw the seed, the random pattern, I think, is one of the system where it is gaining the your energy. The energy will make more energy to seed germinate 100%. So that energy will you are throwing. So this is where I think if you go and ask any farmer, they don't, this is our practice, but they never give this kind of insights because they cannot express. Because my growth, if I do this, my growth will be happen 100%. My growth is very good. That much they can say, but they cannot express, give information in this way. So we have to understand that is one of the natural pattern in the nature. So it is gain the energy. That energy will make you to sprout and germinate faster and 100%. So random. The mosaic is based on your areas, because the land is not flat. No flat land on this planet Earth. Every piece of land is done elevations. The elevations are the energy. So based on energy, based on the elevation, you have to go for that kind of crop that will gain more energy. It is definitely that will become like a mosaic pattern. So it is the interchanging the nutrition, interchanging the information, and your flora and your bees and life and what else, I think almost aroma, they're all exchanges happens. So that is a mosaic pattern is the important. So like every pattern has their cropping. If you look at in the book, you will find out a lot of patterns are there. I'm giving few examples. I cannot talk entire, what are the strip cropping there is there, and the avenue is the rows. So there are ways, many ways of doing that. And in this case, I think what is important, the different regions in this region, in my, always I'm interacting the farmers. I think I myself, I got confused several times. Unless if you won't work yourself on your land, this cropping pattern is more confusing, number one. I think why we want to same follow what others are doing. You try having your own local cropping pattern, you introduce what you want. Whether it works, it is same thing we are working in the guilds also. The guilds will talk about the same information. The guilds is a natural one of the pattern. So the guilds is a association of assemblies of different species coming together, and they have their own function. They are exchanging the information. As a result, you are getting a bounty or nice crop, and very healthy crop, and without much intervening. So that kind of same thing in the crop, I think, is the which in Aranya we have been almost like 20 years. I've been trying my best, and Aranya can do it. But if you go to the outside of Aranya, there are a number of farmers in different regions. I am working in Kurnool and Adilabad and Medak and different regions. I think they have their own patterns. So to understand the patterns, I think is a very interesting issues. Again, in these recent days, I think they said very commonly, we call them as a Kharif and Rabi in this region. But recently, government of Telangana, they started calling it that they Farsi or Urdu words. I think they changed it as a rain-fed and rain-fed, otherwise the rainy season crops and the winter crops. I think that is the words they are using, but whatever it may, it's not important. Wording is not important, but the rainy season, the rain-fed, which can grow in the rainy season, the rainy season, rain-fed, rainy season crops. I think rainy season crops are not rain-fed. Only which crops are depend on, they are all rain-fed, fed by rain. That is the rain-fed. The next cropping pattern would be, we are going to discuss in detail in the Rabi. Rabi is the winter crop. It starts in this area, it starts about November, in the month of November onwards, October 15th to November onwards to January, and based on the different crops. So that is the Rabi. Rabi is the dew fed. So they do need only dew, not the water, no water. So the dew will feed them, so it will get the crop. I think in this dew fed and red, the number of crops, adaptability is a very amazing number of varieties. Most of them they consume, or some of them for sale. But this is totally, it is nothing to do with the varieties. But most of them, the two seasons, if you put it together, if you combine all these crops of your rain-fed and the dew-fed, both of them throughout year, they enjoy all these crops for their consumption. They never look for the external food supply or buying from outside. Most of their food they get from these without any external inputs like power or water or pesticides and other nothing. Because the cropping pattern is not only I talk in my soil, cropping pattern is the fertility, not the production, not the diversity. Cropping pattern is your fertility. Your cropping pattern is so well sound and very planned, very systematically, that will bring fertility to your soil. You need not to add any manure, all what we are talking today, all compost and a lot of liquid manure, all these things not required, because that kind of strength, that kind of energy the cropping pattern has. Which means the cropping pattern, if you understand entire cropping pattern, you go any region, the cropping pattern you see and observe, I think the sometimes mind blows. I think it's a lot of thought gone into the systems, why they are growing the next to your pigeon pea with the ragi. Why their rice, dryland rice, or just rain-fed rice with the your soya, or why they are planting with the ragi with the your lab. Why they are planting with the cowpea, with the maize. Look at every pattern, every plant. What is the relationship? Most of the legumes, cereals and pulses, oil seeds. The legumes, pulses, and the cereals are just, I think it's the most of the nutrition they take. They take from soil, and the legumes are given back to the soil. They stabilize the nutrition in the soil. And the oil seeds. In oil seeds, there are some legumes are there, non-legumes are there. Most of the oil seeds, they need more, they rob the nutrition from the soil. So just to understand the categories of seeds for your consumption, you need all of these three things. But combine how you cook, how you eat, what quantity. So most of you eat carbohydrates and cereals. See, your wheat and your rice and your maize and your all millets, all kinds of millets and sorghum, they're all cereals. Minor, major, all of them. And your legumes, all dicots. All dicots are your pulses, which is all. So, and the legumes, they're all legumes. So then next to your oil seeds, your sesame is not legume. And your sunflower is not a legume. But your groundnut is a legume, at the same time it's oil seed. That's a bonus. So how you use, you try to understand what your body requires and the pattern, the food habit, the eating pattern you have in the morning, breakfast and lunch and dinner. And soil also need every year what kind of, they also need pattern. Every year you grow only one cereals in all in same field. I think that is a deficiency of that particular nutrition. So you have to mix with other crop. You try to grow along with the cereal. Pulses and all seeds. Quantity, most of the time in our big meal, what we take more is the cereals, carbohydrates. Less is some vegetable, otherwise some pulses, and less, very less is the oil. So your cropping pattern, food, your eating pattern, the quantity pattern. So this is very, very important. What is your consumption? What is your quantity? What kind of staple food you have? What kind of seed you have? Some of them may not be. All oil seeds, if it is not grown, I think sesame is not able to grow in my farm. I'll grow my Niger. You know Niger. Niger is oil seed, but doesn't extract oil, but you can use crush and you use as a powder. That amount of oil for your body. So I will go for a very small portion of area for the oil seed. Next, quality wise, your cereal. Even it doesn't give pulse, you must have your cereal pulses. Pulses have advantage of your pulse, lot of protein you need, at the same time the nitrogen need for the soil. How much seed it does give, I do. But the second order, the third order would be the last order would be the cereals. Cereals are number of varieties of crops are in cereals. Pulses are very limited. Cereals are many number, more than 15-20 varieties are there. If you list out, the pulses are very limited, not more than 7 or 8. Oil hardly 6, 7. That is again the area wise, different areas. They will mustard oil they eat. Here is not oil. We have a sesame and your groundnut and sunflower and safflower. If you go to different coconut oil. So, but oil wise is very late. So, in your pulses have a very limitation is there, but cereals are limitation. But it's a number of more number is there to add your consumption. At the same time, quantities you need more. You have to grow that area under more area under more area. So less area you go for the rows. And some patches wise and mosaic pattern if you have, that also one row of your oil seeds. So this cropping pattern you have to, what I'm trying to inform you is 3 things. The pattern is it has to be local familiarity, and the next is your soil adaptability already be not introducing newly. Some of the seeds, soil fertility and your carbon content is not there, or microbial life is less in your soil, the crops not able to grow. It doesn't mean that cropping pattern has been changed, because your health of the soil has been changed. Your seed, nature of the seed has been changed. That is the reason we have to think variety which can grow in that area. You bring, you try to meet your requirement, your need, your consumption, oil, and the cropping pattern not only for your consumption, soil fertility. At the same time, you have to look at your animals. That is one of the very, very important. Today we don't have animals because there is no fodder for them. We are all legumes. For you, protein, protein and nitrogen for the soil. Whatever the product you get from your piece of land, the seed has protein to the animals. So that is deficit. The thing today we are facing a lot of problems. Animal, same thing in your human body also. So this soil, how you combine, how each element, how is with your cropping pattern is important, not the diversity, not the problem with the variety. I think this you have to look at the cropping pattern, which kind of cropping pattern you want to adapt, and at the same time, what is the cropping pattern. You have to share that information with the local community, what they are doing, why they are doing it. I think there are a lot of logics, a lot of the rationality is there. For that rationality, we need to understand how the nature is evolving into a system where we are looking for the natural systems. I think that will bring a lot of the change, a lot of influence by introducing the seeds, getting your own seed and collection of your own seed, keep the seed with you. This is where your seed sovereignty is important. When you crop about only the cropping pattern, if you know many things, so where do you get the seed? What kind of seed you are using? Is it very important or not? We never think of, only we talk about the cropping pattern. Cropping pattern, again, it is the indigenous seed. At the same time, that is your own seed. That is the more adaptation happened with your soil. The symbiotic life is important, not the number. So in this context, there are many number of issues. I think we have already talked about, and what is next, what is in India. In India, we have different hilly regions. If you go, I think sometimes we village to have that cropping pattern. I think none of we are trying to follow why they are doing that. What is the importance of in that? So you can adopt some of the systems, even in hilly areas, the low-lying areas. What are the possibilities to introduce may happen, may not. It doesn't matter. The cropping pattern, what kind of crop pattern you want, what is the results you want to bring, even if it's doing for what. Cropping pattern is important for what? Again, food and your soil, and you're looking at your problems which you are talking about in NEM.
I request everybody to hold on. I think we lost connection with them.
Video పెట్టు. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
we can hear. We can hear.
Hi friends, sorry, I think it's a more philosophical discussion. I think there's some foundation I have given. I'm trying to give some foundation. Why cropping pattern? I think we go some question answers right now, not, but we have some pictures and some Padma will talk about the practical and how we are going about it, what we are showing, how it is applicable. I think you have to find out your cropping pattern in your region. What we are doing here, we wanted to share some information, some photos, and some after that we have anyway question and answers. We'll more time for them practical issues and the question answers. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like continuous, like here we talk about diversified cropping system. We're also talking about health, soil health, and land health. Here is like basic info is 60% the carbohydrates, 30% of the pulses, 10% of the oil seeds. This is the combination if we can follow. That is for soil health and human health, animal health. It will be okay. So what would like to share is of Navadanya, like always talk about Navadanya means 9 varieties of seeds or 9 varieties. But 9 of minimum is uh, so that's where we call it Navadanya system. Navadanya system is the minimum 9 varieties of crops which we can grow. It means it's 9 months green coverage will be there on this soil. So it means like for example, if we have PGMP, like PGMP, it will take the 9 months crop. Any sorghum, if you take 5 to 6 months crop, or any rosella, it will take 5 to 6 months crop. It means like from the day 1 to 9 months, it will be staying on the farm. The green coverage will be there. If you see some of the photos in Aranya farm, like I'll share one of the PPT. You can see some of the pictures how we followed the cropping pattern in different crops. So, for example, this year, if you see Aranya's like 1.25 acres of the land, so around 18 varieties of crops which we grown, but our yields are like more of the cereals and pulses and oil seeds. This is the combination we have gone for it. And we have the yellow color marks where it is there. That is a black soil. Gram, we have gone for it. Black gram and green gram is a 3 months crop, and border we have given the sunflower crop. Maybe you might have seen that. Within the green gum, if you can see, there are 3 varieties. One is the Kitty Pesalu, we call it. It's like small variety of green gum. It's native variety. It's very good taste. And then yellow green gum. It's the color skin of the green gum will be yellow color. So that will be, it's like a special food for the delivery woman. And then similarly, another one is the Shemki Pesalu. It likes like a shining. The size of the grain will be bigger. Like this, there is a three, like if you see as a crop, only green gum. But within the green gum, there are three varieties. Like this black gum. On the borders, if you can see, sunflower we planted. Similarly, if you coming to the red soil we have gone for many things. Because even the soil, if you see, and some of the deeper layers will be there and the borders will be there. Like when you are plowing with the bullocks only, these things, these many crops we can sow. For example, when we are doing in our farm, what happened is in the borders, there is a red soil is there. In the red soil, we want to go for the millets. But inside of that, we want to go for the many of the pulses. If we can see in red soil, more yellow sorghum, we have gone for it. And brown top millet, we have gone cowpea and ragi. Ragi is the finger millets. And rice beans, some of the, one of the variety of rice bean. Jamaican rosella, we have gone black sesame, and then groundnut, and then kodam millet, Indian hemp, sun hemp also we have gone for it, and proso millet, horse gram, and jowar. So these varieties of crops we have planted, we have sown in the red soil. But in the black soil, you can see only, and again the black soil we can use for the winter crops. But in this red soil, if you see, until 9 months, the last crop is the your PGMP. PGMP will be harvested in the month of February, March. It means June to March, the 9 months, one by one the crop will be there. For example, the harvesting season, if you can see, all the millets I can harvest within the 90 days period, 85 days to 90 days period. And major millets, it's like 5 months. Like pearl millet, I can harvest within the 4 months period. Sorghum, if I can see, 5 to 6 months period, even like that. And then pulses, if I can see, cowpea and other things also started coming from 4th to 5th month onwards. So like that, every almost after 3 months, every month one crop will come. I do harvest everything. But while sowing, all the crops will be sown in the same time. This is the pattern followed. And sometimes what happens is in the rain-fed conditions, if you don't receive the rain in proper way, so we may lose some of the crops. Like why this kind of diversity is required. So in the dry land agriculture systems, diversified cropping systems works like insurance. Like out of 10 crops, four crops may go out because of the lack of rainfall, less moisture, something may happen. So rest of the 5 crops will be works like insurance. At least ensured crops will be can harvest. So this is one thing. Like if the same thing, if you see in a Rayalaseema area, they call it border crops, like main crop, border crops, and line crops, and then panta, like small crops also they will put it. So like that, in that is a pattern they do follow. If you can see some of you can just go through some of the pictures how we have all varieties of crops you can see. So pulses and the legumes and cereals. You can see the combination of, and also oil seed. So we can also treat rosella is the oil seed. Rosella, Indian rosella, any variety of Indian rosella, red rosella, white rosella. So this is also oil seed, and also the flower. It's like very good. This little crop is consumable. The pod, entire pod is like fiber. We can get it. You can see in closely diversified dry land cropping systems. So you can see the sorghum. You can see, and PGMP. You can see lab. You can see. So this is a pattern where you can see green gram, black gram, foxtail millets. It's in the black soil because after 3 months I'll take out, like I'll harvest everything. Then I'll go for preparation of rabi crop. In this, like you need to observe one thing, foxtail millet, if you broadcast it, like weeding will be very difficult. If you can go for the rows, intercultivation can be done. Next. You can see foxtail millet and sesame. In the border, you can see sesame crop. Inside of it, there is a foxtail millet. So it's like around 45 days age. And if you can see the different flowers of the legume, PGMP is the first red one. Then second one is the cowpea. Look, lab, the sesame flower, and then flower, and then sun hemp. So look at that flower, because the diversity, why we are talking about these many crops, why the diversity is so important. If you have a diversified cropping systems in your farm, the pest and disease problems will be very low. You can see sorghum, PGMP lab photo also. So pearl millet and PGMP combination also, we can go for it. Here you can see finger millet, pearl millet, Indian sorrel. So black gram and green gram millets. This kind of cropping pattern, we can go for it. So this is, the like few slides which I shared with you. So okay, in Rayalaseema, majority of the crop may be the groundnut. In Deccan Plateau, majority of the crop in the Kharif, green gram, black gram, and then sorghum, minor millets and major millets. Each of the area is a different cropping pattern is there. If you go to Adilabad, majority of the cropping pattern is the soya and maize and then cowpea. That's what maize and cowpea. That is like in the rainfed conditions, like each of the area region is a different cropping systems we do follow. Like in Adilabad, some of the areas is turmeric is the main, turmeric and maize and chili and so many cowpea. They mix so many crops in it. So like that in the dryland region, especially arid zones, this is the cropping pattern we followed. So if there is any questions, please do ask
another
us.
10 minutes, 5 minutes.
No, we already passed time. So.
Okay. So any, some questions, question and answers.
Allah.
Question from Vikas. How to control soil erosion in heavy rainfall areas? What are the crop varieties for excessive rain area?
No cropping pattern you can select, but always I look for the across the plow, across the slope and plowing and the planting. The pigeon pea is a deep rooted. I always like pigeon pea and your sun hemp and dahincha, those kind of leguminous crops, because the deep root at the same time it's a leguminous that I prefer. I think the perennial pigeon pea also possible. You can do that varieties.
Question from Renuka. What do you do with rosella oil?
Rosella is not for oil because Rosella.
Rosella also is an edible oil. You can mix with other oil, you can eat it. But that is one of the very important, but not the solo you cannot eat. But Rosella oil is very important. Now they are using not for edible, but it's mixed with other oils you can consume.
So in this area, safflower seeds and Rosella seed will be mixed and make it oil and consume.
Question from Nilofer. In some regions where local traditional knowledge is completely lost, only monocropping is practiced. Mostly, where do you start? Jigisha.
Yeah, Jigisha, thank you. But but there lot of, because people like I had mad people we have. I think you are around you. Many people are working. The tribals, those who born in 1960, don't ask them. I think 20s, 30s, they have a lot of knowledge. I keep telling many times this, but there are people they know a little bit. You start with few, not entire knowledge. You start with small, and then you can spread and you can collect as much as possible.
Question from Sandhya Kiran. Knowledge on processing of some crops has been difficult. For example, how to extract Rosella oil. Any guidance, training and resources, information available?
Yeah.
Sandhya garu, Rosella seed, they don't like eat complete oil. They will mix with the safflower, groundnut and Rosella seed. Indian white Rosella, Indian red Rosella. Anything they can mix and extract oil, and it is a consumable.
Yeah, the extraction is every town, small village has a extraction mill and oil mill. You can mix and extract. Otherwise, you can have a small unit. You can mix and you add with your other oils. That is possible. It's not a big deal.
Question from Nishan. What is lab in Telugu? Is there a reason for going for lab in the border?
Yeah, it's a lab is a creeper. Is almost is a dolichos. Dolichos is one of the biggest family in legumes. So otherwise, avarai is the Anmulu local name. I think everybody is very familiar with that. I think it's a dal you can make and you are boil and eat it, and one of the very good local dal it is.
Also asked, is there a reason for going for lab in the border?
No, border is because the creeper, it will suppress other crops. That's why border, it doesn't have much plants, anything. It will creep, otherwise climb, but not onto the crop. That's why you go for on the border is a much advantage.
Question from Madhurima. Depending upon the water security changes like the water quality, can the local farmers go for cropping pattern changes, or are there any sustainable solutions to retain the crop? For example, in areas like Medchal, Nalgonda, farmers adopt paddy as vegetables are grown rotten from bad water quality.
So in Nalgonda area, like especially there is a salinity is a big problem, and the water they cannot irrigate. The fluoride contains. That's why they store the water in that area only. It's like they can grow only paddy. That's why many of the farmers they go for it. And also in Nalgonda, one region, Miryalgod region, because of the Nagarjuna Sagar project, there is a good water availability. In the head reaches, even the project also recommended in head reaches only paddy. In the middle and the tail end reaches, it's like irrigated dry crops and dry crops. But it's like paddy is a easy crop. Many of the people they go for it.
You can most of these areas, I think you can go for the bunds which already they have been cultivating since many years. The bunds can be used for water, the crop diversity and more in the cropping pattern. You can change by planting different crops on the bunds.
And also within the rice, they can go for the different varieties of rice. That is what happened in the entire Nagarjuna Sagar command area. Everybody will go for the BPT rice. Instead of that, now we can bring it to the some of the rice varieties are there. We can incorporate.
Now in these lands, I think you can most of the first rainy season they get plenty of water. Sometimes they don't get Rabi season in the winter or in the summer crop. They can go for any 2 wettings, 3 wettings crop like chickpea and maize. They can grow. Not continuously growing rice is not good in those soils.
Question from Amrita Arun. How long do you think it could take to start grow efficiently in Uttarakhand soil? Stone landslide prone area with mainly
Fruit farms.
How long do you think it could take to start growing efficiently in Uttarakhand soil?
I think Uttarakhand is, you have to think at the highest rainfall, 2000 mm and 2500 mm rainfall is too high. There's a forest zone, forest area and more high rainfall area. You have to think that is very fast. Soils are very deep and very stony area. You have a lot of minerals. Soil is one of the best soil in Uttarakhand soil I know. Only you have to use the hilly areas, how you want to grow them, and local species, local crops already they have been doing. You can use the stones and the landslides prone areas. I think that is the advantage having that, and the slopes you can use. You plant trees in between, you can grow the crop. The soil you can protect by putting the stone bunds.
Stone buns and whatever, lemongrass, all these things you can start planting.
Question from Nishan. What can we intercrop with pigeon pea in a rain-fed situation with zero chance of water? We do not have a millet processing machine in our district, and so how can we process the millets ourselves?
So you can go for the major millets like pearl millet and sorghum. You can go for it as an intercrop.
Yeah. This is the intercrop. I think with pigeon pea, any crop you can, any cereal can go. Don't worry. You have a lucky to have a pigeon pea. That's the intercrop with the pigeon pea. You can have any cereal. And this finger millet, all millets, all cereals you can grow. And but don't forget go for the pigeon pea. But the processing units, slowly you have to try to get local some processing units. People definitely they can encourage.
Question from Libby. What should be the crops in loamy sandy soils in Alapi, Kerala? It used to be paddy land and hasn't been cultivated for so long. How should I start about designing a cropping pattern for this land?
The paddy fields in Kerala, I think you have a lot. You are one of the very self-sustained state in the country. I think you know many cropping patterns, but only the mono now started with a rubber plantation, and these kind of crops now started growing. But otherwise, it's one of the very diversified, and there are a lot of root crops and a lot of creepers and a lot of diversity is there. You look for the diverse crops and a lot of different cropping patterns they had, which you can easily grow. Don't go for the waterlogging areas.
Question from Siddharth. Is it possible to feed the entire nation if we discard commercial monocropping completely? If yes, then what changes are needed in terms of logistics and policy?
And like this is Siddharth Garu. If you think that, like, first of all, we think about our family. Are we sustainable for ourselves? Can we grow good food? Can we consume? That is the first question. So think locally and act globally. Act locally also. So whatever you need first, self-sufficiency comes from the home, from the then community, then village, then go for the bigger scale.
Question from Swati. Is there a good paddy variety for semi-arid zones, which we can plant for rainy season?
The semi-arid zones, I think if you, I don't want to go into the history of the rice, you know very well, you read, I think actually most of the rice varieties are rain-fed actually. I think it's a dryland rice they call. There are varieties which in Assam, in Orissa, there are many number of varieties are there. You need not even irrigate, just you can broadcast and leave it. I think they're one of the best varieties you can grow with rain-fed conditions. Any variety, you know?
In rain no, it's like again what was required. Rain-fed she's asking.
Question from Jigisha. Castor oil, cotton, jeera, green gram, bajra. I have seen in the fields of North Gujarat in my area. Castor is not consumed for eating. I think it has a medicinal value. Other than that, how is it beneficial and also?
It's very good lubricant. Yeah. Castor oil is a lubricant in making mechanical oils and grease and vehicles. All the grease and other things it's made from castor oil only. Pigeon pea is like dal we can eat. Like in South India, all kinds of pigeon pea we eat. We have 18 varieties of pigeon pea. All pigeon peas are edible. Like if we go for the perennial pigeon pea, green parts are edible. After drying also it's edible. It's a good soil coverage, nitrogen fixer. It's very good.
There's a question from Facebook Live. how to market so many crops. Little quantities of so many crops may not be economically feasible.
Yeah, in that case, it is not economical. You look for economics. You can go for another landlord. Otherwise, you go only few crops, not number of crops. But this is the cropping pattern is not number, not so many varieties. But what you eat is first. Then you can make a good business out of it. That's not wrong. But what I'm saying is, what is the purpose of having the cropping pattern, different varieties to incorporate? That is the advantage of your soil, maintaining soil fertility. And your pest or any other unwanted things will be reduced, lessened. I think you are more happy to have different kinds of diverse food you need to have every day.
Another question is, what are the best source for getting seeds?
Seeds, there are local people are there every region in Bombay and Pune and Bangalore, even Hyderabad, and some people like us, and we can share and we have to multiply. That is why always I question people where I give seeds. I think you have to, your social responsibility is to multiply and give it to your friends, those who are willing to take that kind of, those who are willing to multiply it, that kind of people. That is how we have to go about it. Otherwise, not readily not available, but you have to work hard, try to procure and multiply it and give it. But it takes time. But be just slow. You need not to be overnight. It won't happen. But try to get from your friends and people like us. Small quantities we give. That small quantity will multiply.
The next question is, burning waste on land, is it beneficial for crops?
No burning on the land is not beneficial. It is ruining our resources and the life, and totally is wrong practice.
So all the crop residues we can make a compost pit and we can use rather than burning. We can, like, first priority will be given. First priority will be given for the animal feed, and next, if there is any crop residues left over, we can keep it in a corner in one pit. It will be a compost for the next season.
Question from Nikhil: what is the best food crop for black soil in the Maharashtra area during Kharif season? The land was used for sugarcane previously. However, now it is barren.
Oh, lot of these.
So you can check in the local area what is the cropping pattern which they are growing. So in the Kharif, whatever the cropping pattern is adaptable in that region, the same thing can be replicated there itself.
Nikhil, I think the is a brown soil, is a black soil, not black cotton soil. It is a gold for you. In that soil, you can grow anything. It's not meant for only sugarcane or your cotton and soya. Sorry, I think you can grow any crop, but most of the water retention is issue. More water retention, some of the crops cannot do very well. I think in that case, you can look, is the water logging should not take place. If the porosity and the more drainage is there, all kinds of crops we can grow, but more than 30-40 varieties of crops we can grow.
Question from
Chickpea and your maize and lot of crops.
Question from Vishnu: how to find market for products? What to grow with amla? Can we grow cocoa?
Like amla, you can make value addition of candy and pickles, like that we have to. The same thing, both the crops need to be value added, then only we can market it.
No, that was a general question of how to find market for products.
Like, I'm not a marketing expert.
Question
Chyawanprash is there, you can go contact them. For the amla Chyawanprash, people are there, they need any amount of, but the local market you have to generate, you have to look for that kind of people.
Question from Siddharth: how can we enhance farmer income using sustainable farming when they are increasingly becoming reliant on cash crops, and a country like India has to import huge amounts of dal? How to differentiate between a hybrid and a native seed?
So this is like this. Each now, how many farmers are like whoever they're doing agriculture, how many farmers are sufficient for the food? So that is the first answer we need to give. Then we can think about how to, like, what kind of crops they can be grown. Because all the farmers, they are buying the food from the market. That's why we need to, because importing the food and dal and oil, onions and all other things. So why should we think about this present generation what is our requirement, how much food we can grow from our farm, what is the percentage. Like based on my experience, when I'm interacting with many people, what they're saying, not even 10% of the food which they are growing, all the farmers, except dry land areas, at least 30 to 40% food they are growing from their farms, whatever may be, whatever the way they may be, but they are growing the food for themselves. But in the irrigated conditions, command areas, they are not growing for any of them for themselves, except rice. So this is the question we need to answer. First of all, can we spare 1 acre for our family food production? Then we can think about rest of the things.
Question from Chaitali. What if we don't have red soil? Is it okay to sow everything in black soil?
Because there is advantage growing two seasonal crops in black soils. If you don't want, you can grow all the millets, pulses, oil seeds in the same soil. It can stay for 9 months.
A question from Mohit. I have piled up huge piles of lemon tree prunings. They are thorny. What do I do with them other than burning it?
So maybe keep it in a corner. Slowly it will, if it is a termite attacking soil, it will get decomposed slowly. So I don't know how much quantity you have.
The thorny one, I think nothing is wrong burning, but not everywhere. You select a place where a corner, somewhere you have to burn it. Nothing is wrong, because a lot of thorns, it will disturb the other activities. You can do that. Burning in my context, why I'm telling burning, no burning on the field is all crop residues. It's not a crop residue, it is your pruning. Actually, first of all, no pruning is required. If you do pruning, you have to, if it's thorns, you have to, don't mulch it, don't bury it. I think you have to burn it, you have to look at anywhere in the corner, you leave it. After over a period of 2 or 3 years, it is rotten and it will become nice organic matter. Otherwise, you use as a fence along your border.
How to differentiate between a hybrid and a native seed?
So here you can see, first of all, we should know the taste of the native food, native seeds food. That is, and also where are you getting the seeds from? So from the market, from the local farmers, or where the just you interact with that farmer where the source is coming from. Then you will know about where it is coming from, where it is coming from hybrid companies or the farmers.
Yeah, my understanding is a very big question, but the hybrid are always in pockets and they're treated with the Thiram, and it is a lot of uniformity crop, and these are some of the thumb rules. Native, I think that things are nothing, won't be there, easily exchangeable, shareable, and with the loose, they can give and few, and you multiply, you see it. If it doesn't germinate, if it germinate, no flowering, no pods, I think that's a hybrid. If it flowers, it's a hybrid, it gives it a fruit and pods, I think that's a native. I think native seed and hybrid seed is a very question, but unless you sow and see, you will know then only. Otherwise, where your source of seed is important. Okay. Yeah.
What kind of seeds you are asking for? That is important. Like maize and other things, it's completely hybrid. Okay, like pulses and other things, it's improved varieties are there. Like PGMP, there are many improved varieties are there. Short duration varieties are there. Like millets, if you take, millets are native, most of them native. Nowadays, research stations, they develop short duration varieties. The varieties always, you can go for it. But don't go for the hybrids, especially something like vegetables and then maize. These are two areas you can think about it.
A question from Anita Krishnan. Is it necessary to till the soil before planting any of these crops that you have spoken about?
So that is depend upon your local tradition and practice. Some of the broadcast directly in the soil, some of them the tillable, and where you are, what soil you have, that is important. But most of them in tropical soils, there is tillage is required. Tillage, again, the depth is the issue. What depth you want to do it? Is a scratching, or is a cleaning the soil, or and broadcasting. I think all seeds and all crops which I spoken about, there's a very traditionally they plow, but the depth is the issue. you can do it. I think without doing also there, but without doing also you can tillage, you can do sowing, but your soil, what kind of soil should be puffy and more deep and more lot of organic matter, no much weeds. These are all matter.
But the cropping systems, yes, you have to cultivate. And the vegetables and other things, if you have a raised beds, you don't need to till every time. So this is my understanding.
Question from Is there a way to sustain our lives only perennial?
Yeah, you have to change your lifestyle. You try to eat most of the leaves and bark and nuts, fruits and seeds. And yeah, that is how you have to sustain. But the percentage also may bring some change in your lifestyle. Not 100% annuals, and the perennials will bring 50, 40, 60%. Slowly you have to give up. That is possible.
Thank you, Narsanna and Padmaka, for the wealth of knowledge as usual. Thank you, Sneha, for coordinating.
Amla is like, I don't know how you planted. Dense plantation are the distance between the two plants. In between, we can bring some diversity with the legume trees like sesbania, moringa, and all other things. But we have also add some more citric plants like lemon and sweet orange, those kinds of plants. Try within small scale, because if it is saline soil, amla means growing in the amla in large scale, it might be the saline soil. So add even guava also comes up very well. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Padmaka and Narsanna. So
Thank
If
you.
you have any questions, you can leave a comment on the Facebook Live Facebook page of Our Sacred Space, and we will get back to your questions.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
joining.
Thank you everyone who joined this webinar. Thank you so much.
Before we leave, I would like to announce that there is a workshop next weekend, a 2-day course by Aranya Alternatives, Agricultural Alternatives, on Introduction to Permaculture. Please contact us on this
Thank you,
number
Nipunika, for
that I'm
hosting.
leaving in the chat box for the details.
And I'm Taraka.
Our Sacred Space team. Thank you.
So we'll see you all again.
So
for our
thank
next-
you, Our Sacred Space team, Tara and Shikara and other team members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
See you
night,
all soon.
everybody. Yeah.
Good night.